Every single day, millions of us grab a pill or use an inhaler, and we just trust it. We trust that it's going to be safe, that it's going to work. But where does that trust actually come from? Well, it's not some kind of magic, and it's definitely not luck. It's all thanks to this rigorous, kind of invisible process that's always working to protect us, which leads to a really important question.
Yeah, let's just ask it straight up. How are we so sure that the next pill we take, and every single one after that, is exactly what it's supposed to be? I'm not talking about most of them. I mean all of them. The answer is rooted in this really powerful idea that props up the entire pharmaceutical industry. And right here is where things get serious. This isn't just about, doing a good job. If a drug isn't made following what are called current good manufacturing practices, or CGMP for short, it can be legally called adulterated. And that's a heavy word, born from some really tragic moments in history when unsafe drugs got out. So what this means is that process validation isn't just a suggestion, it's the law. It is legally enforceable, and it's all designed to protect every last one of us.
So what is this guardian that the law requires? It's called process validation. And really, this is the bedrock, the absolute foundation of making medicine. It's the answer to how we get that incredible safety and consistency, batch after batch, pill after pill.
Now let's break this down, because the words here are chosen very carefully. It's not about just hoping for the best. It's about having hard, documented evidence. It's about proving without a doubt that a process is reproducible, which just means it's going to work the exact same way every single time, period. And all of it has to meet these predetermined specifications. Basically, a target for quality that was set way before anyone even started making the stuff. See? Every word here is about proof, not chance.
So here's a super important distinction: verification versus validation. Verification is kind of like asking, hey, is this one pill I'm holding sterile? It's a spot check on the final product. But validation asks a much, much bigger question. It asks, can our sterilization process guarantee that every single pill that ever comes off this line will be sterile from now until forever? You see the difference? It's about proving the entire system is reliable, not just testing one thing at the end.
Okay, to really get this, let's use an analogy. Imagine we're building a spacecraft. You wouldn't spend all that time and money, launch it, and then just cross your fingers and hope it lands okay. No way. You would meticulously design, test, and prove that every single part, every single step of that launch was engineered for success right from the very beginning. That whole proactive approach, that's the soul of process validation. And this whole thing plays out over a 3-stage life cycle. It's all about design, then qualification, and finally, ongoing verification. Let's walk through how this all comes together, starting right at the top with stage 1. All right, stage 1. This is all about the blueprint. Just like with our spacecraft, this is where we build the foundation for success before a single ingredient is even touched. The whole idea is to proactively design quality into the process, not just check for it at the end. So in our spacecraft analogy, this is all that critical upfront work, right? It's the physics calculations, the wind tunnel simulations, the detailed mission planning. For medication, it means figuring out exactly what makes it work, what makes it safe, and then designing a manufacturing process that's guaranteed to hit that bullseye every single time.
The philosophy driving all this is called quality by design, or QBD. And honestly, it's just a beautifully logical system. Think of it like a funnel. You start at the very top by defining your target. That's the quality target product profile. Basically, what does this perfect pill need to do? Then you figure out the specific things about it that make it work. Those are its critical quality attributes. And finally, you pinpoint the exact manufacturing steps, like temperature or mixing speed, that directly control those attributes. Those are your critical process parameters. It's this perfect chain of logic connecting that final pill all the way back to the very first idea.
Okay, so our blueprint is locked in. Now we head into stage 2, the proving ground. This is where we stop theorizing and start doing. It's where we collect that hard evidence that proves our design actually works in the real world.
Back to our mission, this is the exciting part. The spacecraft is built, it's sitting on the launch pad, and now we're running it through full-scale simulations. We are generating real data that proves our design can actually handle the intense pressures of a launch.
And this whole qualification phase happens in 3 really logical steps. First up is installation qualification, or IQ. You can think of this as asking, did we build it right? Are all the right parts in the right places? Are all the pipes connected?
Then comes operational qualification, or OQ. Now we're asking, does each individual piece work? We're pushing all the buttons, flipping all the switches, making sure everything responds like it should. And then the grand finale, performance qualification, or PQ. This is where we ask, does the whole shebang work together under real-world conditions to consistently make a perfect product? It's this step-by-step confirmation that the entire system is go for launch.
But here's the thing. Even after a successful launch, the mission isn't over. And that brings us to stage 3, the long watch. Because validation isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a constant commitment to quality that lasts for the entire life of that product.
So, our spacecraft is up there, it's on its way to Mars. Is anyone at Mission Control packing up and going home? No way! They are in a state of constant watchfulness, monitoring thousands of data points to make sure that mission stays right on track. And that is a perfect picture of continued process verification. So, in this final stage, manufacturers are just constantly collecting production data. They're analyzing it, looking for any little trends or deviations. This is how they make sure the process stays in a constant state of control, even if raw materials change a tiny bit or equipment gets older. It's this dynamic feedback loop that guarantees the millionth pill coming off the line is just as safe and just as effective as the very first one.
So, we've walked through all 3 stages. What's the big idea here? What's the main takeaway? Well, it all circles back to a really simple but incredibly powerful philosophy.
When you boil it all down, this entire complex, scientific, legally required process of validation, from the first blueprint to the long watch, it's all driven by one single non-negotiable goal: patient safety. Every single step is there to protect the person who will ultimately take that medicine.
And that right there, that really gets to the heart of it. Process validation completely flips the script. It makes quality something you build into the product from the very first sketch, not something you just hope to find when you inspect it at the end of the line. It's the difference between checking for quality and actually engineering it. And it's the reason you can have absolute trust in the medicine you take.